Saturday night, the former WBA and WBC 147-pound champion Keith Thurman, now 30-1 as a professional, looked as good as ever in returning to the ring after a long layoff to defeat Mario Barrios by a 12-round unanimous decision in Las Vegas. He was much faster and established himself as the bigger puncher, but experience and boxing IQ was the clear difference that allowed him to set traps and dominate the fight. Thurman outlanded Barrios by a margin of 181 to 105. He also connected on nearly 48% of his power shots. Thurman boxed intelligently and landed the harder shots to cut and outpoint Mario Barrios throughout the fight. All three judges were unanimous, in favor of Thurman by scores of 117 to 111, 118 to 110 and 118 to 110. Thurman hinted after his fight with Barrios that he likely won't be going in the direction of the undefeated WBO champion Terence Crawford. He said he wants to win back his WBC title that he vacated back in 2018 after he'd failed to defend the belt almost a year after winning it in 2017 against Danny Garcia. In deciphering all the code talk that Thurman was doing during the interview, it's pretty apparent that he will not be challenging Crawford for his WBO strap. Thurman wants the WBC title that Spence owns. Thurman is targeting Spence because that's the biggest money fight out there for him, and it makes perfect sense for him to be going in that direction rather than the fight against the dangerous undefeated counterpuncher Crawford, where he'll be making less money. It's clear that Crawford was counting on getting a fight against Thurman, but now that Thurman is hinting that he plans on using his WBC mandatory position, this will now leave Crawford out in the cold. So where does this leave the unbeaten Terence Crawford? Seems like in the same spot as before, not knowing who will be his next opponent. As far as Crawford goes, he can always fight one of the Lions vying for his WBO belt. Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz Jr. are highly interested in getting the chance to fighting him and would be fast to jump on that huge opportunity to become champion. IBF and WBC champion Errol Spence Jr. reacted to Thurman's win over Mario Barrios Saturday night by saying, "Tailor," meaning Thurman is tailor-made for him after watching his less than impressive performance. I could agree, because Spence is probably the best body puncher in the welterweight division and in the end could mean an easy night for Spence. The bad news for Thurman is that for him to become the WBC mandatory, he must beat the undefeated Lion, Virgil Ortiz Jr., in a final title eliminator to become Spence's mandatory. Ortiz is a great body puncher and has seen Thurman hurt to the body in multiple fights. In the end, Spence could end up taking on Terence Crawford to try to become the undisputed welterweight champion, which will leave the winner of Thurman vs. Ortiz fighting against the winner of Spence Crawford. I drop videos every single day. If you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell after the video.